Since the civil rights movement, the pride of black culture has grown immensely. So much is that some people would say black people denounce their own African culture.
I never said I wasn't black, I said I wasn't African American. And to me, that's a difference.
But over the past few years, it seems like black celebrities have grown to embrace the African culture, traveling to Africa, wearing different African threads, and even performing in concerts with popular African artists. But there still seems to be some dissonance with the African Americans and African culture existing today. And today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty and have a civil discussion and a panel and discuss why this dissonance still exists. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to do a panel discussion, Africans versus African Americans. Now in today's discussion, I'm going to have 6 other people with me today, 3 Africans and 3 African Americans, and we're going to discuss the dissonance between the two cultures and why it's still existing today. So I'm going to go ahead and have you guys introduce yourselves, starting off with the Africans.
Hello, my name is Chiswaka Patrick, and I am African.
Hi, my name is Valerie, and I am Nigerian American.
Hello, my name is Iyanya, and I'm African.
Hi, I'm Caleb. I'm African American.
Hello, my name is Trayvon, and I am Black.
My name is Alexis, and I'm African American.
All right, so I got a handful of friends that I had around the area, and I wanted to ask them some questions so that we could see in a civil discussion what the difference really is between the two. So if you guys just stay tuned, we're gonna get right into it.
Chap chap in the bando, I don't wanna look like you. Chap chap in the bando, I don't wanna look like you. Chap chap in the bando, I don't wanna look like you. Chap 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 chap, look like you. No, I don't wanna look like you.
Start off with the first question here, and it is: do you think that there is a difference between being African and African American? And who would like to start off?
I'll start. I definitely believe there's a difference between African and African American. Although we came from the same continent, somewhere, somehow our cultures drifted apart. So we don't practice the same way, we don't do the same traditions, so we're definitely different. You can't call me a black woman, I'm an African American woman. So that's how I see it.
I believe in the wide, broad scope of things that we all are the same, but culturally we, like, drifted apart and we practice cultures differently. We raised differently, so therefore there's a lot of history behind being African, Nigerian, and a lot of African Americans or Black Americans don't know that history. So I feel like in order to be one, you would have to know our history and take a sense of pride in that. So I do believe there is a difference.
I also want to agree with what they're saying. I think that African Americans, being born and raised in the U.S., we kind of adopted more of like the white American kind of lifestyle. We do, more U.S. nationalized kind of traditional things such as that, and they do more cultural, more African things, getting in touch better with their roots, kind of sort of. So, yeah.
I kind of want to disagree with what she said. I don't say that we.
Oh.
I don't want to say that we've like adopted white views or white cultures. I think we had to like create our own culture, being brought over as slaves. We had to create this new type of thing that we could be proud of. So it's not white culture necessarily, it's our culture that we've created.
Well, I want to agree with everybody. There is a difference, but it's like Neve said, it's more of a cultural difference rather than a difference in I would say blood.
I guess I'll round it off. Okay. As far as the genealogy of African Americans, what I consider to be a Black American, which is a difference, I would say that we're all the same as far as our genetic makeups. But as far as our cultures, I believe there's a difference as far as a Black American because as a Black American, I don't know if I'm Jamaican, I don't know if I'm Haitian, I don't know if I'm from South America. I don't know from where my slave ancestors were shipped to. They could have came from Brazil, where most of the slaves were shipped. So I can't necessarily attach myself with the name African American if my culture is also tied to Brazil, possibly. But what I do know my culture is tied to is being Black and being the color Black in America. So that's why I identify myself as a Black American. Now, an African, he can tie himself back to Kenya or Ghana or Nigeria, and his identity is sculpted by what he has tied himself to, or she. And an African American has tied himself to both those places and America, and living their identity in America. So that's the difference in my opinion.
Okay, so let me give you a counter argument with that, Trayvon, and you guys are welcome to ask each other questions if you need to. So, do you believe that, I know I heard this lyric in a song one time, many people believe that if you are a Black person, that you are from Africa, and that literally almost every person in this world has come from Africa. So what do you think about that statement?
Everyone comes from Africa. I don't care if you're white, blue, orange, or red. You're from Africa. Great.
I believe a lot of people make the argument, Black Americans make the argument, I'm not African or I'm Indian. You know, I think the society, American society, has put such a devalue on being Black, just African, just coming from African roots, and so people try to not associate with that. Now, I agree. You could be from Brazil. You could be, have a grandmother down the road that was from Sweden. I don't know, but if you trace your lineage back, I'm almost 100% positive that even if you're a person of color, you come from Africa. Somewhere down the line. So to say, I understand, not being called African American. I understand, Black American, but somewhere down the line, you can't trace your lineage back to the continent of Africa.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
I agree with that statement.
I'm not sure about everybody, but I know if you're Black, I'm a firm believer in Pan-Africanism. If you're Black and you were born in China, if you were Black and you were born in America, I don't care if you're a child of from a lineage of slaves. If you are Black, you are a child of Africa, and that's how I look at things. So you're still an African child, you're just not born in Africa.
So, when we're talking about the continent of Africa, I can assume what it means to you. But in general, what does the continent of Africa mean to you personally? How do you relate to Africa?
This is a Black question or is it African?
It's both questions,
Okay.
yes.
I relate to it as it is my roots. It is where I came from. As far as that, that's pretty much like all I can say about it. Just because growing up, I didn't really know what else it could have been. Like I didn't get the history. I didn't get to learn about it. So they just taught you in history books. Everybody, Black people are from Africa. You know what I mean? So that's all I know. I would love, like, I'm really, like, now that I know more Africans, I'm definitely like trying to learn more, and I'm doing more, and I'm trying to get into my roots because that is where I'm from, and it's really interesting stuff knowing that you come from something bigger than you, basically.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
How do I relate to Africa? I relate to Africa the same way I would relate to anything with the people, I would say. And once you're accepted by African people, the key word, I guess, was accepted. But once you're accepted by African people, you can't help but love the possibility of you belonging to that culture as well. From the way that Nigerians dance, from the way that Kenyans cook, from the way that people in Ghana play soccer, like once you are accepted by African people, you immediately attach yourself to that culture.
And I want to add that, as we're talking about this, it's really, like, now I'm like, I feel like it just feels so good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of emotional talking about it because you didn't know for so long that these are your people, and like, the way they have so much pride is really overwhelming, and it's really beautiful. It really is what I want to say.
I think the continent as a whole is overwhelming, and I'm saying this coming as an African. Congo is a beautiful place. I know Congo like the back of my hand, but there's other countries that I have no clue about, and I enjoy learning about the different cultures because there's so many different differences amongst us, and so many different types of beauty that it's a lot bigger than what we all try to make it seem. Like when we say Africa, we're saying as it's small, but it's like 3.5 times the size of the United States. So just saying, I really love the fact that I probably won't know all of Africa in my lifetime, but I'll enjoy learning it. And that's a journey I think I'm going to enjoy for the rest of my life.
Well, I can put all of theirs together. It's overwhelmingly beautiful. It's huge. It's amazing. It's all that. Africa's motherland. Imagine giving birth, to all these people. I think that's beautiful. So, yeah.
I mean, when my parents talk about Nigeria or going to Africa, they say I'm going back home. So that's what it is. It's home. I've been there twice in my lifetime. I'm born in Houston. I grew up in Dallas, but it's back home. So that's what it is to me as well.
For me, it's just a lot of culture because growing up, I do say Black people have a culture, but it's not necessarily as evident as Africans have a culture. So whenever I think about the continent Africa, I just think about this longing for this sense of culture that I've missed growing up. So that's what my take is on that.
Nice. Okay, good. There's been some backlash, when we see white Americans wear dreads or braids or any other culture, correct? So I wanted to ask, how do you feel about African Americans wearing dashikis or any other form of African clothing? Do you feel like it is a form of appropriation of the African culture?
Can I say something? Yeah. I mean, growing up, until I came to the University of North Texas, I was around Black Americans. Those were my friends. Those were I hung out with. And the only time I felt like I was Nigerian when I went to a function with my parents or I was at home and people were at home. So I grew up, kind of getting made fun of a lot. They always wanted me to do the accent and crack jokes, and I was always that guy. And so, that goes back to me saying they didn't know, the history. They didn't take the time to try to learn it. And now that I see, even white girls wearing dreads and dashikis and stuff like that, I love it. Just because they're taking a step and they're trying to figure out where they came from, and it's something that's good. The culture is spreading, so I'm all for it.
Come on, bro.
Go ahead, Val.
I do not think that the Caucasian individuals are appreciating our culture. You're wearing dreads because it looks cool. It's in. Dashikis are in. Being African and Black is in. The lips, the hips, all that. No. Try to get deep. I don't like that. I think, like he said, growing up, I was always made fun of for being, my last name is long as ever. So with that, now that I'm older, even now, I don't respect that at all. Unless you're trying to come to me and learn about my culture, why you're wearing dashiki, what does this mean? What is it? Where did it come from? Maybe I'll accept it, but until that day, I'm not here for it at all.
I think all of us went through the whole we're being made fun of
Definitely.
But at the same time, we grown now, so I think we all know better. Back then, we were on TV as the kids who needed food and all that. So
we still are.
I mean, but back then, people our age were looking at us as more savage-like.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were looking at them kind of crazy because of what we seen on TV. You see your 50 cents.
Yeah.
And things like that. So it's all a big miscommunication. Now we're in the information age. Things are different. I think us as the neo-Africans that are growing up, we need to let go of that we were made fun of. Because people need the opportunity. They're actually learning. Well, even if they're not learning, they're embracing the culture that they used to make fun of. And it's beautiful to me to see other people at least learning or attempting to do something that pertains to my culture. It's wow, that's great. And I'm not home. This is not my home. And I'm seeing that. So it's okay, I can appreciate that. That's cool. That's cool. I like it. You may not know everything about it. It may be a fashion statement to you. But to me, I know what it means because I'm African. You may not because you don't know all the information. But, I mean, you still got it, which is cool.
People attach their culture to their struggle. And so me being able to wear this kitenge is what I was taught a dashiki was called a kitenge, because my best friend is Kenyan, and that's what they call it. So when he showed me what a kitenge was and he bought me one, he also explained to me the history behind it, and I could attach that struggle to it. So I could appreciate it in its full entirety. But everyone's not as fortunate as to have a friend like that. So when they come upon something that is from African culture and they take an interest in it, that may be their inner roots from Africa, taking an interest in a part of them that is once was. And so it's kind of like a blurred line there, you know, and you would hope that people would educate themselves, but you can't expect everyone to. So it's just like a foggy situation, but I think that African people that do tie their struggle to their their fashion. Are we specifically talking about fashion?
That's
right
what
now?
we're talking about right now.
Specifically
It's appropriating culture.
Africans that specifically tie their struggle to their fashion, they can't necessarily wear a double-breasted suit either, because I mean, what's that from Great Britain? They can't wear a Italian smoke slipper. They can't wear an Italian smoke slipper either, because I mean, where's that from?
That has no.
There's no struggle. There's no struggle attached to Great Britain. Their entire city was burned down in London.
Attached to.
Won't you think
Their entire city was on fire.
Suits, though?
Won't you think that I understand what you're saying personally, but if you think about it, Nigeria was colonized by Great Britain, so that culture is going to be tied in with Nigeria, whether we like it or not. I'm speaking for Nigeria specifically. So we have that culture, and they did try to I don't want to say brainwash, but water down our culture with their own. So when you say we can't wear double-breasted suits because they come from colonized, that's weird. When you say we can't wear double-breasted suits because they come from Great Britain, we have that culture as well, and as well as you guys. You know what I'm saying? So my question is that when we are talking about African Americans wearing African clothing, without knowing the history, can it be offending?
Is it only African Americans, or is it white people too? Because I thought we were talking about both.
When I'm wording the question, I'm specifically talking about African Americans, but we can't talk about
I mean,
Caucasians as well.
If we're gonna have this conversation, it can be Africans versus everybody else.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I understand where you're coming from. As human nature, we have a tendency to gravitate towards what the people around us are doing. I mean, I'm African. Like my family goes straight back to Nigeria, but I mean, I have a lot of me is American culture, like Black American culture, from the music I listen to, the way I dress on a day in and day out basis. And so I feel like, for me to dress like that, I mean, for them to have a dashiki, it's a give and take kind of.
Yeah.
Now, I also understand where Valerie's coming from. We wear that and we have a sense of pride. Well, Africans in general, pride is up there. Okay? And, we just don't want to, we don't, we don't just let, I had a lot of friends that they knocked on the front door. That's where they stood, was the front door until I came out. And then, I had friends that, my mom knew and that we let in the front, we let in the house. What I'm getting at is, like, people, for them to take the time to go back and research it is one thing. For us to tell people about our culture is a whole other thing. But some people, we get offended when they're wearing our, and they have their own idea of what it is, of where that came from, and then they take off and run with that, and that's not true.
Let me add to what Neve said. Let me ask it in terms I think the African Americans would be understanding. If you were a Zeta and my sister is just walking around with a Zeta jacket. No. You done been through it all. You done been through line, whatever. And my sister just walking through with a Zeta jacket and say, "Hey, girl, how you doing? You see the Z? Ain't it fly, girl?" And you're gonna feel a certain type of way, and that's where like the amount of pride is crazy. When I say it's crazy, like
it's just like that.
it's
crazy.
it's even way deeper than that.
Because
Like,
I didn't know you guys will feel so like that. I didn't know.
Like I thought it was
strong.
okay for African Americans at least to wear.
no, it's okay.
It's
Like,
okay.
but I understand.
But as long as you
But I
understand.
didn't know y'all felt
Behind
that
it.
strong about
Right.
people actually. You need
Because
to
if you
know
wear
my
it, and
culture.
then you're
Wear
asking
my
like weird
culture. Know my
questions, like,
struggle.
Yeah.
I think Africa's cool. And then it's like, what are you doing?
As long as you try to understand
Yeah.
it, that's all we're asking.
Globetrotter jerseys, I'm just saying, like. You know what the Globetrotters did for Black Americans?
I mean,
you know what
we
I'm saying?
do.
So no African can wear a Globetrotter jersey.
That's
You know
not
what I'm
true.
saying? You know
Because
what I'm
some of
saying?
us,
Like,
I
that's what
understand what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying there.
I'm on both
Like,
sides.
if
I
you-
feel
you
that.
can't-
Same. They're
You can't be
good.
attached. If you African, you was in Africa when we was in Harlem.
But it's like,
So you can't wear no
See
Globetrotter.
how we can
Yeah.
try to understand your culture. All we're asking that you understand what you're putting on. You
Yeah.
understand it on for fun. Like how you said your friend taught you what you were wearing. That's amazing.
You take the time to like explain it to her, like let her know.
Yes, I personally, I know.
So that's
it does.
because a lot of people are like, oh, you can't say that, but then they don't explain the reasoning
Why?
behind it or why they just get mad off the top and you leave the person still not knowing
Yeah.
what was wrong with what they said.
That
So
transfer of
Understood.
knowledge, it's gotta happen.
Yeah. So my next question is, why do you think African culture has gained so much popularity presently?
Because Africa's taking over.
Okay, I'm gonna be realistic about it. At post 2009, I think everybody was like going through a I want to be different stage. Now you see like the whole hipster rap stage. That's a part of it. Like this whole like I want to be different. All the artists were pushing for different. Everybody was pushing for just different, and everybody was looking like okay. Like the African Americans were like, I'm not just black, I got Indian in me. It was like, oh, that was different. Like everybody was looking for what made you, like what identifies me to be different. Yeah, like, I got some Brazilian whoop-de-whoop. And now it was at a point where the Africans were like, we were all saying we were different, but it was at a point where everybody looked at ourselves like, shoot, I'm from Congo. Like, you know, don't call me Paul no more, call me Chiswaka.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, oh damn, your name Chiswaka. Oh, that's That's different. So we started to expose this whole other side of us, and it just happened in small increments, and it ended up a big thing, and it became a wave. Like it came from probably a few people talking about, man, I'm really proud African, whoop de whoop. And then everybody just started to bring that energy, and now it's a big thing Texas-wise. Actually worldwide, because in the UK it's happening right now. So everybody is big on in African pride. That's like the biggest thing now. I love it. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it is really cool.
It's a beautiful thing, but I hope that we aren't treating this right now as a fad and people are actually looking into the culture. Because I don't want you to go around and say, I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Ghana, I'm from Mozambique, but at the end of the day, you don't try to speak your language, you don't go home, you just use it as a crutch because you're different. Like, I may be Congolese, but je connais français très bien. Like, you can't shake that from me. And I still go back and try to learn about my culture. I still ask my mom questions. I still try to identify as much as I can with my culture. I hope people aren't using it as a, yeah, shawty, you know, I'm from Mozambique. What's up?
I think to pull Igbo men are forever in style.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
I want to add to go off of what Pat was saying. I think it's also everyone's kind of growing up. As children, you couldn't go and you couldn't teach your friend. Well, I mean, you could, but I don't think that was kind of like the interest when you were younger. So now you're able to go and read more. You're able to really appreciate it because you're older. Your culture, the same way you appreciate your family more, the same way you appreciate your money more, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so now that, because like I said, before college, in high school and in middle school, I didn't know many Africans. I didn't know anything about them. So, and then coming to college, I assumed that, you know, because everyone's older and they can and they're willing to go out. And then there's also like the assimilation going on, then, you know, it's easier for you guys to teach others about their culture, whether you know you're teaching them or not. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You about to go?
Go ahead, bro.
I actually have two things. One, I think, you know, African culture as a whole is very gravitating, it's magnetic. And like, I remember back, like I just said, I didn't have a lot of African friends, but I did have one. And we would talk to each other, you know, just being funny. We talk with our accent. And then next thing I would know, it would be a crowd of people around us just looking like, oh, like they're laughing, but at the same time, like they're intrigued.
Yeah, very.
They're very intrigued.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of them like they weren't exposed to that, so it was something new to them. And like as we got older, and here's the second thing, like we came to college, and if you know Africans and the way they're raised, education is a top priority. So it's not about if are you going to go to college, it's when you're going to go to college.
Yeah.
So we were going to college, and so when you see a bunch of people coming from like a university, people traveling, and they get to see a sense of that, because a lot of Africans now, when I came to UNT, there was a lot more of Africans. I'm like, I never seen this many Africans my age, all in one place, and they grew up the way I grew up. They had the same kind of mentality that I have, and so when you get a lot of that here, and just that, like I said, it's very magnetic, and people are drawn to that. Some people, they don't have a sense of culture, and they want to agree with that, and they see that, and they say, I could be from Africa, and they take that, and they get very involved with that. So I think that's what it is. I think more people, the population density of Africans and college campuses is what kind of got us.
I agree with Neves. I think we're starting to actually link up because we're in a centralized location, like all the universities and stuff. So it's all these people going to one place, and they're finding more people like them, and they're like, oh my God, like you too? This what happened to you? Oh, you got beat too? And it's like a big, it's like a big thing.
African parents.
Yeah, so it's really Twitter and Facebook and these
My mom
things.
did that for sure.
Yeah.
That woke us up. It's I like
Kind
it.
of new to have someone to relate to.
Yeah.
So, do y'all have anything to say about that?
I mean, like, Neves really spoke on most of the things I was going to speak on. Just that it's so natural. It's so natural. Here at the University of North Texas, they're notorious with their ASOs for having these things called ASO weekends, and what it is, like, Africans, organizations from all over different college campuses in the state of Texas, they come together and they have basically like a big festive weekend. And people was telling me about it my freshman year before I was woke, and I didn't really want to go. I mean, I had my own stuff going on. I was still, pretty much in my black circle. And told me again sophomore year, I still didn't want to go. In my junior year, I went to one on a whim. I was like, okay, I kind of want to go to Houston anyway, so I'll just go. And I went, and that was my first time really seeing like African girls dance.
Oh, yeah.
I've been seeing twerking my whole life. When I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have one, right? And so then there was this immediate connection to African people, like, oh my gosh, like what else of this African stuff is like dope like this? And then like, okay, so these African people, I didn't know how many African people were in the NBA. I didn't know how many African people were sitting next to me in class or next to me on a bus. It just became this big thing. Like once your eyes are open, there's a immediate connection with a place called home, and that's where home is. So.
Same with me. ASO weekend last year, that was my first experience of a whole area of Africans, and because Cindy said, Caleb, you should go. It's gonna be lit. Like that's how she said, like Caleb, it's gonna be lit. Okay, I'm gonna go. And I went, and I'm on the ASO dance team at CW, and so I was with those girls, and they're amazing. Like these are girls that we really don't have too many differences, as far as people and as far as personality. Like I could really, they're fun, you know what I'm saying? And so that they were my first exposure, and then after that, it's just I love it. Yeah. That's good.
I have a question. This is for the Africans. How do you feel about other Africans who don't necessarily embrace their culture? Like, they don't take the time to learn the language, cook the food, I don't know. Like, how do you feel about people who don't embrace their culture? They totally dismiss it.
As if like they're whitewashed.
Yes.
I'm gonna go African dad with it. If my child did that to me, I'd tell him give me back my last name.
Facts.
That's a form of disrespect. I gave you money, I gave you riches, and you left that alone to go live bare naked. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you just disrespected me.
Get woke on him, Dr. Tell me naked out here. Speak on it. Speak. Tell me naked.
Me personally, I don't like stuff like that because you're hindering a part of you on purpose. It's not like you're hiding a part of yourself because I don't know, for whatever reason you feel uncomfortable or you might not like it, and you feel like you have to identify with a culture. This isn't your home, so it's like if you had to adopt this culture to feel whole, like there's a fraction of you still missing. No matter how hard you try to fill that void, there's a fraction of you that's always forever gonna be missing. So as soon as you come home and you know you're not eating pot roast and you eating fufu, like you forever gonna be African no matter how you take it away. I just feel like it's really disrespectful.
It is.
Honestly, this is being personal. Like my sister, told my parents that she wasn't African, that she was an American.
Oh
She's still
my
alive?
God.
I told her like I was scared for her, you know.
Wow.
But
I would be too.
You know, yeah. Honestly, it's your loss, and that's not even African. Any person. If you don't know who you are, where you came from, and your heritage, your history, that's who you are. It's a part of your heart. It's part of who you are. And so if you don't know who you are, I mean, that's your loss. You don't know, you don't know where you're going, and you know that's why there's so many waves and new things. People they want to jump from one thing to the next thing, you know. So I just feel like as a person, you should figure out who you are. That being where your family came from.
The last one.
So, I know there's been so much controversy, as you guys saw in the first part of the video, where Raven-Symoné herself said that she could not identify with herself as being African American, but just as being black. So, I want to go around and ask you guys, do you identify yourselves with being African, African American, or Black American, and why?
You want me to start? Or?
I mean, you guys can.
I'm very particular about this subject. I don't like the term black because black is a color.
Thank you.
And if you look at Africa, there's a color spectrum in Africa. So I've never looked at my mom, my sister, my dad, my brother, and be like, hey, black brother, or, you know what I'm saying? I say, hey, this is you know, my brother. He's African. Like that's how I think about it. And black is cool. But realistically, everybody ties back from Africa. So I've never understood why we take the African away from black. Because no matter what color or whatever, how you want to explain it, you can call it black, brown, whatever, it's all African. So if for an African's perspective, looking at it, it would just be easier for you to refer yourself to where you tied to versus a color that even y'all or us, we have a different spectrum. There's a spectrum here in the United States as well. This whole light skin, dark skin thing, and then you know you still belong to we all belong to the same place. So I'd rather us identify with the motherland versus a color because that's what we do at home, and that's just how we look at it.
Trayvon?
Swing it back this way. When you say we all, we all, and we have all decided that even white people are from Africa.
Yeah.
So do they call themselves African Americans as well?
They should.
Now understand. Why I call myself a black man is because black is a color, and my color has shaped my entire culture and my entire experience here in America. So I am a black American because me being black has shaped my American experience. So I am a black American. I'm not African American because I didn't have that African American experience. You see what I'm saying? There's an African that is from Africa or his family's from Africa that was born in America, and he has had an African American experience. But I've had a black American experience. I grew up in Atlanta around other black people that didn't know what a cotton meant either. We was all black. So that was my experience, okay? White people call us I grew up in the country of Atlanta, and then I went to school in the city when it was ratchet and guns and stuff like that. Like, it's my blackness has shaped my experience, not my Africanness.
I want to say,
Someone made a comment that said you can classify yourself as African American or black, but white people will always see you the same.
right? And I wanted to say,
But I'm not done.
Speak on it.
They'll see you as the same. So although they will, like Trayvon Martin could walk out and get shot like how he did, or Val could walk out and get shot like how she didn't when she was saying it. But either way, I still think within ourselves, I don't like the divide, but it is there. So I am a Nigerian American, an African American. I am not a black woman. Unfortunately, people say that's disrespectful, but that's not who I am. That's not how I was raised.
That's the problem. People think that our differences are what separate us, but they're actually what bring us together. The fact that we are different. It's kind of it's kind of a phenomenon that we even have differences because our genetic makeups are so much the same. There's like 2 strands in our DNA that are different from.
People do get offended that I do say I'm not a black woman, and I understand why. That's not how I was raised, like how you were raised that way. You know what I mean?
Because I think I was raised in America as black, and that's what we were called. So I am black, and I personally feel like we're all black. Because black is a color. I feel like because you know there's the light skin, there's the dark skin, but once again I think it's all black. I am African American. I'm not African. I'm African American. Because there is a difference between those 2 cultures as well. So I would not say I'm African, but I am African American and I am black.
I want to just put my 2 cents in on it. Sometimes I do feel like when Africans try to like divide or separate themselves away from black people, it's kind of like they're not good enough to be classified as with us. But sometimes it's not that. You just want people to recognize that, no, I'm not black. Yes, I am African. But sometimes some people don't necessarily divide themselves right, so it makes them seem like, oh, we're better than you, so I don't want to be classified as with you. So that's sometimes, like, I can see where you would say, no, I'm different, but sometimes it has to be with like a level of respect, I guess, because you're talking down on black people sometimes.
You could.
Yeah. But I also think the negativity comes from
your mindset?
No, like how we were made fun of. I'm going to go back to that. I swear. Okay. Because thinking like that, getting made fun of, now I see them and I don't really not say have respect for them, but I'm going to give you the same hardship that you guys gave us.
What about Jesus?
Real niggas. Okay.
Stop!
Okay. I got several things to touch on.
Let's go, Patrick.
All right. She said earlier that it doesn't matter how we look at it ourselves. It's about how white people look at us, and that's probably one of the thing that makes me cringe is that comment, because us as Africans have never in life cared how white people look at us. When I say never, not one time. That's like a black thing. Like, damn, I can't go to the job interview like that. Black people gonna look at me like that. Africans don't think like that. I'm dressed, I'm just going to a job interview. Yeah. Or, I'm speaking properly. Like, we're very, it's there. So we don't live in that realm where we care how white people look at us. Second, I forgot what she said.
Who about said?
No. What did you just say?
Lex? Oh, the divide kind of makes you seem like you're better than
okay. It's not really the divide. It's really, we have pride. So it's like if I was playing for the Bulls and I wore a Mavericks jersey and I'm just out here, you're gonna look at it like, whoa, what are you doing? You just I'm a Bull. That's what I am. I play for the Chicago Bulls. It's the same. It's almost like the same thing. So it may be hard on Black Americans because I don't think there isn't something you can identify with. You might be able to say, oh yeah, I'm from Dallas, whoop-de-whoop. But how a man treats his country is a whole nother level. So. Yeah. Well, I'm not black. I'm from Congo. Or I'm African. Get it right. Hold on now. Because this is something we hold on to. We've identified our whole life. So it's something we take serious.
And I want to say, I'm from Houston. We have pride. We are from Houston.
And
you can't tell us nothing. And I think it's the same.
Triple D.
And there you go. And that's what it is. We're gonna rep our city until the death. And that's sad to say that all that I can rep that hard is Houston. You guys are fortunate to have a whole country and a whole people behind you. We have our families. We don't have all of Houston. You know what I'm saying? So, and see, now we're connected because we're from Houston, and you guys are connected because you guys are all from Africa and you have the African background like that.
Oh, I got one last one. So when I said everything is African, I meant that. So we're all explaining these terms. Everybody's using these terms. They're all political. If we break it down, whether you say I'm a black man, whether I say I'm African, it's like I said, it's literally the same thing. It don't matter if you want to call it tomato,
potato,
or potato, whatever. It's all the same thing. Yeah,
spaghetti.
That's all the same thing.
I was just going to ask.
No.
I'm going to speak on 2 things. When Trayvon was talking about having an African American experience and having a Black American experience, I got a little bit of both of that. of course, within my friends, they looked at me differently because I was African. They treated me a little bit differently. And when I went home and I was getting beat down, and I go to school the next day, I was like, man, I'm sleepy. I was like, my mom made me stay up until my homework was finished. And I told her that we had time in class to come in and finish it and get questions from the teachers, but she made me finish it. Oh man, yeah, I just take mine to class the next day. It's stuff like that. And I mean, I don't think myself as better. I was just a little bit more determined because that was the mentality that was put behind me. Yeah. And I look at those same friends, and I still communicate with them. They're still my friends, but they're not. I would say that I'm in a better position moving forward in my life than they are right now. And so they take that with them like back in the day it was funny, but now it's like I kind of respect it now, and we're all one. And I'm telling them like, no, there's a difference between us. That's the reason why, because now I know, like, you had a different experience growing up, I had a different experience growing up, but to piggyback, there were times when we were all together when, we all got called racist names by people, and I'm right along with them, So, I mean, I would prefer for, to us have, one thing that we can all bind together with. I'm all for, Africans here in America. Because, like I said, we're enveloped in this society. We're here. We listen to their music. You know what I'm saying? And like we're part of this culture, black culture, if that's what you want to call it. Like we live here, we live that, and so, like they said, the white man or other races looking at us, we're all one. But that's only with in-house that we're like, okay, now there's a difference. There's light skin, dark skin. There's African American. But I had two of the same growing up, and for people they look at me differently. Because of the way I was raised and my mentality. So that's the way it comes across as, oh, I think I'm better than you. And it's just like, no, we're just two different people. Yeah. And,
So to basically end what Neeps was saying, we were treated bad, but they gonna choose regardless.
Oh my gosh.
And they did.
Back then they didn't want us. Now they are.
And I just want to say this. I don't want y'all to think that black people don't have a culture.
There's definitely
a black culture,
Okay, I just didn't.
Hold on, let me break that down.
I mean, we can go back to links and cues.
African American black culture is a variation of African culture.
Yeah,
when I say that, I mean there were slaves from countless different countries that were brought together, learned one single language, grew from that, learned and made other things from what they knew, cultivated a brand new culture in a new land. About 1,000 to 1,500 miles, I guess, whatever, away from home, and it grew into this. This is a variation of African culture, and it's beautiful. Definitely. So, like, don't ever let anybody, I don't care, there's no black culture. Black culture is probably the biggest thing in America right now.
They have mayonnaise.
And I feel like it's the white man that's telling us that there is no black culture. Right.
I don't care about the white.
I'm just saying, but a lot of people do.
They don't care about us.
They care about what they say, and so that determines how they act. So I mean, I just feel like
Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching this video on my channel. I also wanted to talk to you guys about the vlog that is going to be coming out either next week or the week after. So, as Trayvon did say, I am going to ASA weekend with most of these beautiful people.
It's gonna be listen.
It's a lituation. It's exactly what it is. So, most of the people in this room are going to ASA weekend, and I guess you guys will see them again on my vlog. So, what you're gonna see is lots of cultural showcasing.
And UNT winning.
who does that?
What is it?
Anyway.
Say it louder.
Actually, so you're gonna see a lot
also
of
gonna see UNT winning.
cultural showcasing.
They're gonna win that too.
With
we gonna win
dancing.
regardless.
They're gonna win that too.
You're gonna see, little snippets of the cultural mixers, I will say.
They're gonna win that too.
A cultural mixer? How do I win that?
Hey, we win everything.
They have big heads. They're very prideful. You'll see that as well.
We got big trophies too.
Big trophies.
Anyways,
That'll have dust on them.
you also see, I think we're having the games, tournaments,
And then a pool
a
party.
pool party, banquet. So all these lovely people will
We're gonna win the
be
water to
ready.
the pool too.
Kind of like how Neebs is, I guess this is a regular thing for him.
Came from the interview.
Coming dressed to impress.
Yes, so hope you guys enjoy this video, and just watch out for my next one. Hopefully it's next week. Oh, and my birthday's next week, guys. So if you want to wish me a happy birthday on April 10th, you know, I'm not telling you to do it, but you can if you want to. So it was nice seeing all of you, and we'll see you next. Bye, gems. Bye.
Chap chap in the bando, I don't wanna look like. Chap chap in the bando, I don't wanna look like you. In the bando, look like you.